Well, good evening. First of all, we want to welcome everyone to this special meeting of the Decatur City Council. We're so glad to see so many people interested in the topic we're talking about tonight. We will be going through the one issue we are dealing with tonight, which has several facets, but as always, we allow for the statements from appearance of citizens. We allow a 15-minute time period for that. We will be taking questions and comments from the audience as we move through the agenda. So really the appearance of citizens tonight will be about other issues that may be of concern and not the issue that we are here to discuss. The policy relative to appearance of citizens is as follows. A 15-minute time period is provided for citizens to appear and express their views before the City Council. Each citizen who appears will be limited to 3 minutes. No immediate response will be given by City Council or City staff members. Citizens are to give their documents to the police officer who is located over here for distribution to the Council. If there is anyone who wishes to discuss a different topic than what we're here to study tonight, please come forward. We have 2 microphones in the front, one here and one here. So we don't need your address, but please give us your name. And are you coming to speak? I'm just making sure you hear
me.
This. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let me get this going.
So this is not about the weed, right?
Correct. We will be allowing for a lot of public comments on it's any other topic you might wish to discuss.
Yes. I came and talked to you. My name is Mark Girdler. I came and talked to you a few months ago about needing security at the Decatur Public Library, and I was summarily ignored. I filed a FOIA request with the Decatur Police Department, and I saw that in just one recent week, there was someone tried to kill themselves in the parking lot. People were doing heroin and cocaine in the library while Facebook living it. And there was also a multiple night incident with a guy who threatened to knock out a female staff member. I got messages from the patrons telling me how scared they were. They didn't feel safe in there. So I'm asking you again to update the security cameras to get somebody, get a security guard in there. And that, hopefully no matter how this goes, we can come together as a community and rally around the fact that in 1998, The Undertaker threw mankind off the Hell in a Cell, who plummeted 16 feet through an announcer's table. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to appear before council on an issue other than the marijuana issue? Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, or good evening, I should say. I'm Ada Owens, Decatur Township Clerk. Community care about the community person. Okay. I stand because I'm somewhat bewildered. I haven't heard anything from council. Now, I know the officers in law enforcement is doing what they possibly can do. But I think the people in this community should hear from our leaders that crime, violence will not be tolerated in this city. Now, it may not be happening in your area, but when it happens in one area, it affects all of us because we all live here. We care about this city. And I would like for the council, someone from the council, the mayor, to condone it and to try to ease tension of the folks who live in this city. Trust me. In my circle, there's a lot of fear. Sometimes, if you say something to the people, it calms. And on another note, if we push, if you say something, if you see something, say something, do something. So I look for you all to take this on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Owens. Is there anyone else with another issue to come before the council tonight? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to a staff presentation by City Manager Scott Wrighton. Mr. Wrighton.
Mayor and Council, we've worked hard to put together this meeting agenda in a way that facilitates as much discussion by the council as well as by the citizens as possible. And the way we've approached that is by focusing on the three questions that I think are the ones that the City Council has. I think it's important to start this meeting by explaining what the City Council is not empowered to act on this evening. The bill that was passed by the Illinois General Assembly, HB 1438, the Act we'll call it, does not give to the City Council any discretion over whether or not cannabis should be legal in Decatur. On January 1, it's legal in Decatur. That issue is not before you this evening. The issue of whether or not it should be decriminalized is not before you this evening. The issue of all of the expungement is not before. All of those questions were decided by the Illinois General Assembly already, and they are already policy of the state, at least as of January 1st of 2020. The City Council is given a fairly narrow range of decisions to make, and so those three questions are on the screen behind me, and they were included in the Council packet. And so what we'd like to do and is divide them up, because I think this facilitates talking about it, each of those questions compartmentally, both for you as well as for the people from the citizenry who may have shown up. A couple of other things that are not up here is issues related to zoning. Some communities in Illinois have elected to discuss this from a zoning standpoint. We put this meeting together with your input based on the fact that it's right for the City Council to first make a policy decision about whether you're going to opt in or opt out, whether you're going to allow retail dispensaries or not, whether you're going to allow other processing facilities or not. And once you've made that decision, then if you allow some or all of those facilities, then and only then after that legislative decision is made, then you can delegate some of the responsibility about certain land use decisions or setbacks or whether or not it's in a strip mall or has to be standalone. Those are all land use decisions for the Plan Commission, but they really shouldn't be making those decisions until you first make a legislative policy decision. So the question about that, for the most part, is not on the agenda this evening. I think it's also important to point out, and this is actually pretty clear in the law, is that existing employers, businesses who have aggressive drug-free workplace rules, those are all okay under this law. Nothing dilutes or minimizes those requirements. This meeting is just about these three questions. The question of whether or not the City of Decatur should allow retail dispensaries in the city. And then the second question is whether or not there's actually 6 categories of businesses that the law lists. And one of them, and the one that gets all the attention in the media, is the retail dispensaries. And so we're dealing with that separately as question number 1. And then regardless of how you decide to allow it or not to allow it, there's a separate question on whether or not certain processing, and by that I mean cultivation, infusion, and some of these other types that are listed in the law, and which will go into more detail. So separately is the question of whether or not you will allow that. You could choose, hypothetically, to opt out of retail dispensaries but allow processing or something like that, or vice versa. The third question up here on the screen is, depending on how you decide the answer to questions 1 and 2, is within the confines of the law, what additional requirements do you wish to make to discourage or prohibit the use and the consumption of cannabis in public places? We can't be less strict than you can be more strict than the law in the state law, but you can't be less strict. And so there's some specific questions about that. In order to try to stay on topic and organize this in a way that's helpful for citizens as well as you, under each one of these policy questions, we have additional questions. So there's, depending on how you decide, then there's sub-questions under each one. And with your permission, what I'd like to do is, as you get to each one of those, we'll show you with additional slides what those questions are. Most of them have to do with what the ordinances are that are in your packet material. Those ordinances have been prepared with a lot of research and guidance from IML and other places by our city attorney, Wendy Northland. And so I've asked her, when we reach that point, to discuss each of those ordinances. You can discuss them, and once you feel like there's a direction, if you like, you can put a motion on the floor for any one of those ordinances that you like, and you can amend it as you like. although you have the prerogative of acting on one or more of these, you have there's no requirement that you do so. You can choose to make a decision and adopt an ordinance on question 1, but not on question 2 or 3, or not on any of them, or act on all of them. It's your prerogative, because a motion to table is always in order. I suspect that regardless of what the City Council decides here this evening, or in subsequent meetings, if you choose to table it, you're going to be back, because the Illinois General Assembly has probably got half a dozen changes that they're going to be considering to this bill at the veto session, which begins on October 28th. There's every reason to expect that there'll be some litigation generated by other cities that make decisions just like the ones that you're making. So in the next couple of years, we'll have more guidance on what that is, and we'll bring that to you in the event that you want to make changes to it. So that's my introduction. It's really, I can't emphasize enough that it's important to focus on these questions, because the other issues about whether or not it's going to be legal, that's outside the City Council's aegis here tonight. So if there's no questions about the process and how we've organized the meeting agenda, Mayor, I think we're ready to go to question 1.
I believe we are. Just for those of you who don't regularly attend council meetings, the way this will work is we will hear from the manager, then council will discuss what the manager has presented. We'll get a feel for where council is going, and then we will open it to questions from comments, or perhaps questions from the audience, which you can go to the mics and I will direct who goes first and who goes second. We will do our best to hear from everybody here tonight who wants to speak, but we are asking you to limit your comments to about 3 minutes, and we're trying not to get terribly repetitive. We want to hear opinions, we want to hear from all of you, but we know there are a lot of people here with a lot to say, so we want to keep the meeting going and make sure that everybody gets a chance to say. We don't want somebody to get tired out and leave. Mr. Wrighton.